Third time not so lucky for Ireland's self-proclaimed loudmouth. News this week from the European Commission has halted yet another takeover bid from Ryanair for Ireland's national flag carrier Aer Lingus. Michael O'Leary, the CEO of Ryanair, has been trying to control his greatest Irish competitor since 2007, stating he could make the airline more cost efficient and lower its operating costs significantly. I think few in the city would disagree with this claim, considering how he's built Ryanair up since '94 to be the fastest growing airline in Europe. However, there are a couple other factors at play here. Let's not forget, the Irish government have around a 25% shareholding in Aer Lingus, for the time being at least, and that its employees own a further 10%, with Irish businessman Denis O'Brien and operator Etihad accounting for approximately another 7%. And none of these parties are openly in support of Ryanair's plan. In addition to this, however, O'Leary's biggest obstacle still remains to be the European Commission, with whom he's had a couple of, shall we say, vocal disagreements over the years. In 2007, his takeover was stopped because of potential competition concerns over 35 routes that the Commission noted were only served by these two airlines. But upon its recent initial review, this figure has now soared towards the 50 mark, obviously indicating that the Commission's decision is fairly unlikely to change by January 14 for fear the takeover would create an obvious monopoly on these routes and at least a 70% market dominance of Irish air travel market, which for such a peripheral island could not be favourable for the consumer. Ryanair, however, have been rumoured to be doing everything they can in talks with various other airlines in order to try and change this stance. Virgin, BA and Air France have all seen O'Leary's seductive side recently. However, industry insiders tell me that the most attractive operator to join him on these routes could be EasyJet. EasyJet were unavailable to comment. However, observing their own challenges in the European market and understanding the prospect of directly competing with Ryanair on any of these routes, one can only but assume that this may also be a dead duck for O'Leary. However, as to be expected from Ireland's most stubborn of businessmen, this has not clipped his wings. O'Leary has stated that if the Commission relaxes its position, considering the number of various other large aviation mergers we've seen in Europe recently, such as BMI Baby and Iberia under IAG and BA, then he would definitely make another attempt in the new year. This, however, also poses its own problems. First of all, EC rules on takeovers would forbid another takeover attempt so soon. And also, the recent announcement of an investigation from the offices behind me, the UK competition regulators expecting to demand Ryanair's relinquishing of all its Aer Lingus shares due to operational conflicts of interest. So, all things considered, and there are quite a few, the forecast for O'Leary's expansion plans looks a little overcast. He not only has to 180 the EC's standpoint before the year's out, but then has to convince the Irish government and Aer Lingus staff of the takeover, and additionally persuade at least 70% of the remaining market shareholders of his future endeavours. And let's not forget that this is at a time when Christoph Muller has turned Aer Lingus around, decreasing its annual operating loss by over 70%. The sky has never been the limit for Michael O'Leary, but unless something dramatic happens to aviation competition legislation in the coming months, I think it's safe to say that dreams of €10 seats to New York are still somewhat in the clouds. I'm DP Fitzgerald, reporting for Bloomberg from the UK competition regulators.